Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So, like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate it. And welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your Picking Dimes Podcast. I'm your host per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P-Bush. How you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. I got to shout out my little sister, man. She lives in the same apartment as Caitlin Clark down in Iowa City, man.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
We were rooting them on
Same
last night.
apartment? Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad. There was one time I think my dad ran into her in the elevator. He's like, "So, what floor you live on?" He loves to say that. He's like, I asked her a question. I'm like, all right, come on. But yeah, man, hell of a game last night. Obviously, we got the rematch from the women's. I know we don't cover them that much. But we got to give them a shout out, man. She dropped 41 last night. Jesus Christ!
Oh man,
matching and surpassing Zach Edey's 40-point performance, man. She's just been an absolute monster. Also got to watch Paige Buchers and Juju Watkins play right after that.
Nice.
Juju, you could tell she was a freshman, man. That's all I can tell. You know, she's a little lazy with the basketball. But hey, man, that's the way any sport goes. You can't just knock out women's basketball and assume that they're going to be the same way all the time. So shout out to them, man. And we got two teams that are actually representing in both the men's and women's Final Fours, man. So UConn and NC State. Yeah. Woof, Sean, you called that NC State. I got to say, you were like, they could be sneaky. So, yeah, man.
DJ, Mr. Burns.
Yeah, shout out to DJ Burns, man, because this guy's a household name. I remember watching that one game. I'm like, who's this big chubby dude out there, lefty, with a nice jump shot with a little spin move, man? But this guy's a household name. Like, we got NFL scouts saying this guy could be an offensive tackle. Like, he's getting hype from. Like, I've never heard of a guy that does well in a NCAA basketball tournament, and then that gets scouts from the NFL to be like, this guy could play football, but clearly he's big enough, obviously, and he's athletic enough because he's got great footwork and he's out a household name. You got Nikola Jokic in post game saying, "Oh, I was late. I was watching DJ Burns just be a beast," and shouting his basketball scout, say he's very skillful from probably the most skilled big in the NBA. So this story, I love that story. That's the beautiful Cinderella story, but you don't have it with Cinderella story. The cute stories they end, man. But it's a beautiful story. Enjoy the ride. I love DJ Burns. If he makes to the NCAA championship, good for him, man. Go for try to pull off a miracle. But shout out to DJ Burns and shout out to Caitlin Clark, because I never think I would say the day that I turned off the Chicago Bulls game to watch Caitlin Clark play for basketball.
There you go.
I was watching that Bulls Atlanta Hawks game. Embarrassing. Just pathetic, man. Just pathetic. Like, you beat the Timberwolves the night before and then you lose to Atlanta Hawks. I don't understand this team. I turned it off, put on Caitlin Clark. She hit some deep threes. I'm like, this is some beautiful basketball. Like, her on her team, like, this is
bullshit drafters, dude.
Yeah, man. She just runs down the field, chucks.
Bullshit drafter, man. Set the precedent.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm not gonna lie. She would beat the Bulls in like a 3-point shooting contest. Like, Jesus Christ, she could shoot it like no other. Like, pull up three off the ball. And she got a nice little, like, we talk about her shooting. She got a nice, like, outlet pass. Like, I don't know. There's a couple times remind me like Alonzo forward pass. She gets the ball, looks down to get an easy layup. She did it a couple times. So her passing is an underrated skill of her ability, because obviously she's known for shooting those deep threes, but her passing makes her a great, complete, like, offensive player.
Steph Curry-esque.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, shout out to Caitlin Clark pretty much getting revenge against the team that sent her home last year. So
storybook, basically.
That storyline was all there, and she dropping 40 and 10. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, shout out to her, and hopefully she gets an opportunity to make it back to the championship game, but it's not going to be easy. But I'm pretty invested in Caitlin Clark, man. I'm pretty invested. I put money on her to get the W. I'm like, yeah.
I got a plus 800 on Iowa to win it all.
Oh, really? Plus 800? Yes, ooh, there's some juice there, man. I wish I got on that, because it is fun rooting for stars, and she's a star. I know there's Juju Watkins. I watch her play. Nah, stop it. She ain't even close to Caitlin.
Not yet.
She's only been in the game for a
freshman.
year, though.
Yeah, she's a freshman. So there's different levels between senior, but there's levels to this, and she's on a tier by herself. and is beauty to
Yep,
watch her.
right now she is,
Beauty to watch her.
And
play.
you know what's crazy is the storyline. I know the LSU what was it? Iowa storyline was a massive one, and it was the biggest one. And I still think it's probably going to be the biggest one, even with the whoever gets matched up in the final.
Mhm.
But Paige is people like Caitlin Clark was like, you know, already kind of gaining buzz and was like starting to be who she was. But Paige was the one even before Caitlin who was kind of considered like the do it all. Now she wasn't shooting from crazy range, but she was more of a do it all player who could rebound, assist. Like, you know, she's more of a triple double threat. And that's going to be a very, very interesting game, I feel like, with UConn and Iowa, because it's like, you know, to your point about the juice of being plus 800, it's because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I am a South Carolina alum. Like, South Carolina's undefeated.
They're
so,
the
like,
best
they're
team.
already just putting them in the negative, like negative odds or whatever.
Indiana
but, like,
almost got them.
Yeah, they did. Indiana almost did get them. Indiana almost did get them. And I was thinking about you guys the other day because for some reason I was like, I get confused. Like, I always think you guys, like, went to another school, but, like, I don't think about Indiana. Like in terms of you guys' school. But then I thought about it literally in the beginning of the fourth quarter. I don't know what brought it up, but I was like, oh, I forgot P-Bush and fucking Zoo went to the school. And I was like, I wanted to even watch him. But like with Paige and Caitlin, I'm very interested to see Paige's mentality going into that game because I know Angel Reese and Foulaje, shout out to them. Like Foulaje is more of a slasher and he can get to the rim, and Angel Reese is more of a down low threat. But Paige does it all, and I wonder how motivated she's going to be because I think with her being hurt last year, like she's going to be kind of wanting to take the mantle and be like, you know, I'm going to be the one because UConn is kind of like the old guard. They're kind of like we've won all these championships. We're trying to get back like South Carolina. I mean, Iowa's not going to be any good after Caitlin leaves. They're going to be okay, but they're not going to be good. Right. But it's like South Carolina now is kind of taking that. Juju with USC's taking that. LSU was kind of making a stamp with winning last year. Like, there's other teams that are wrestling to try to be like the modern day dynasty. And it's like UConn's still trying to show up and be like, yo, we're still here. Like, pay attention to us. And I think Paige going to have something to say. So,
just to add, then, you know, it's funny. That was UConn a couple years ago. They had such a good run in the 2000s with the Rip Hamiltons, Ben Gordons, obviously, you know, Shabazz Napier, Kemba Walker. And then they kind of had like a 6-7 year gap where they didn't really do
a little
much.
lull. Yeah,
they had the lull, and then they've made that storming back probably about 3-4 years ago, maybe kind of during that COVID cutoff time, and they're right back. So I don't know. Gino's still there, man. He wants to be the most.
He's a hell of a coach. Gino is. He can coach his butt off. But like I said, that's, you know, enough about the women's Final Four. Like, I will say, for full disclosure, that's just been more interesting. I've been watching more of those games, but I also been paying attention to the men's side, and you know, we got our 4. I think a lot of people are very surprised NC State got there just based off of how they played the last, you know, down the stretch at the end of the season, limping into the ACC tournament. A lot of them was just kind of like, okay, they may win 1 or 2 games, but they're going to be out. But then they are now in the Final Four. You know, even if you've just been watching basketball from like a very, very, very far away view, like just from like the mountaintop, you could kind of tell that UConn has been a program that it's just their birthright to be in a Final Four. So you don't have to do a lot of science with that. Like, you just kind of, you know, can just expect them to be there, you know. And, you know, Purdue, you know, Zach Edey, I know we were kind of on him beforehand about the whole just like NBA tip. But, you know, regardless of all the teams that are in the Final Four, what do you guys think is the actual game, like in terms of what's going to be the final game? Who do you have winning? I kind of feel like I already know these answers, but I'm going to ask it anyways. And P-Bush, go ahead and start it.
I'll preface this. I know I said this about the last game that UConn played. I did think Illinois was going to give him a better fight, but man, their big man got him.
Slaughter. What did I say? Slaughter.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Their big man he couldn't do anything about Klingon. I mean, he's the only thing that I think is going to be able to stop him is Edey. And we talked about Edey getting in foul trouble is the way to beat Purdue. You look at the stat line from that Purdue-Tennessee game, man. He put up 40 of their 72 points or something 72. Like that.
Yeah.
The next closest guy was 14, and after that it was 9. He's not getting any help. So if you can stop Edey and hold him to 20 to 25 in a game, you can beat this team. And I think that's why I'm looking at NC State here, man.
Let's go, P-Bush. Let's go.
Zoo.
Let's go.
Here's the thing. Edey, it's not just his height, it's his size, right? He's just a big guy. And you're talking about DJ Burney, 6'9", 280, man. He is 6'9", 280. You're talking about an offensive tackle. him and I think their other guy from France, what's his name? Diarra, he's 6'10". They actually have some size that they can switch off, help each other on Edey. I think they actually got one of the better chances of any team that's played Purdue. So I'm actually picking the upset in that game. It might be contrarian. You might want the 1 seeds in there. Sure, man, that's going to be a boring game. Klingon versus Edey down low, man. This ain't 1970s or 1960s Bill Russell versus Will Chamberlain, man. I don't want to watch that. So I like to see NC State. Even I don't think they have a chance against UConn. I do think UConn will win. But I also do think that Alabama could be a little bit of a trap game for UConn just because they can match them offensively. It's just going to be whether or not whoever can get the more stops, and I just trust UConn more on that front. Donovan Clingan is just an absolute monster down there. But, man, we got to talk about Mark Sears, that point guard on Alabama. He's pretty good, man. He's fast. He distributes the ball well, gets to the hole, gets the wide-open threes. And this team's been averaging 90 points per game in this tournament as well. And it's not like these teams are playing horrible defense. That UNC game was a close game, and they pulled it out. And then Clemson, man, another scrappy team,
super close,
scrappy physical team, and they were able to get out of it. And I think a lot of people their knock against Bama this year was that they were more agile and less physical, right? And that doesn't also necessarily translate in March Madness. Well, they're showing you that it can work, and they've hit some big shots. They make good plays. So I'm not picking Bama. I am going to pick UConn to win it all, but I do think I'm going to get an upset on the Purdue-NC State side. I think that would be a fun storyline, even though either way, no matter who shows up.
Yeah.
UConn's winning it all. Unless Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the caveat. Alabama would have to shoot like 50% from 3.
Yeah, they'd have to go crazy from 3, yeah.
And let's be honest, it's possible. It's one game elimination, man. It is possible, but I give it maybe 5 to 7% chance of happening.
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. It's been clear. Lock of the year, UConn Huskies, woof woof, baby. Because that defense, man. You know me, I'm more of an offensive guy, but defensively, what Clingan did in that Illinois game was one of the greatest college basketball performances I've seen in my entire life.
For sure.
His ability to jump straight up and not foul. This guy not only blocked 5 shots, he altered every single shot at the lane. Like, they got scared of going to the lane. I remember a little like Victor Wembanyama. People just see the big guy and just avoid taking layups because this Terrence Shannon guy, this guy was a 25-point scorer. That guy was
fast.
Garbage. He was first of all, he can't make free throws. That guy cannot make free throws. Second of all, this guy he could not get anything going in that game, and he's supposed to be this Big Ten player, this bona fide probably the best scorer, I guess, in the rest of the tournament right now, and he got completely shut down. But you look at this Huskies team that went on a 30-0 run.
Brutal.
That's incredible, bro.
That is insane. Because you saw the first half, I thought the game was going to be a blowout in the first half, but the first half was pretty competitive. It was 23-23, and then they ended up with a pretty strong run. And after the first, yeah, exactly. After the first 5 minutes of the second half, okay, I was like, bro, that's all. That's all she wrote. Q Store, Illinois, bye-bye. I would assume that your team ain't good enough, baby. Team good enough. And you got to look at what the Huskies did. They dropped 77 points, and they shot 17% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they played a great game, offensively.
Yeah.
It was just clinging in 22 minutes, shot 9 for 13 from the field, 22 points, 10 rebounds. He got 3 steals, dude. I mentioned the 5 blocks and all the shots he altered. He got 3 steals. There was a couple of plays that he got his hands in the passing lanes, and he created that. He's boom, outlet, boom, money. And you look at the guys on Castle, this guy's NBA guy, 1 for 6. He had 2 points. Newton had a donut. He went 0 for 6 from the field. He only got points from his free throws, and they were still able to beat a team by 20 plus. So this was not an A game by UConn. I give them a B game. That was their B game, and they're still beating teams by 20.
Yep.
Good luck, Alabama, man. Good luck. This is a team that has covered the spread in 10 consecutive games in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, sweeping last year with double-digit leads, double-digit wins, and now they're going for another one.
Yep.
They got 2 more games to close the deal. They're an 11.5-point spread, which is really high. I think Illinois was 8.5, 9.5. They jacked it up.
Bama could cover, Zoo.
Bama could cover.
It could be a 9-10 point game.
Yeah, it could be a 9-10 point game, but these are now Vegas's expectations
Yeah.
of this team. Like they're
That's
going to
when
win
you
by
hit,
12
dude,
points.
That's when you hit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, that's what their expectations UConn is, and they really haven't had a challenge all year. So I'm like,
No.
they haven't had an ability to play a clutch game right now. So they haven't been pushed a single bit, and I don't think they'll get pushed by this Alabama team that I don't like, it's just not big enough. Like that's the thing. Like Purdue matches up obviously with Zach Edey as a guy that actually can counter Klingon. So that matchup's actually, I'm kind of interested to see how that was going to work. But Alabama, bye, man. Cute story. They got that. What's that guy? What's the 6'10" white guy, man? Nelson. That guy pretty good.
Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson.
He was really good in that UNC game.
Yeah, he was very.
He
He was the best player on the court. Like he was dribble driving. He could shoot it. Like he had a full offensive package. So shouts to him. But good luck against UConn. We're watching a dynasty. Like this is the UConn Husky dynasty right here. Like they're on verge of going back to back. Vegas called it this year. My goodness, they have it completely unlocked. And then that cute story over there, NC State. I hope they get it done because you know what that means, man. NC State gets it done.
Barbecue
Easier
chicken.
game. Easier. Yeah, exactly. Barbecue chicken for those Huskies, man. But those Huskies going to be eating up those NC State boys. I'm all for it, man. Wolfpacks, man. Wolf on Wolf crime, man. Wolf on Wolf crime.
I'll take a wolf over a husky. I'll take a wolf over a husky.
Same.
You take a wolf over a husky?
But here, I do want to say this real quick, man. We haven't said this throughout any of the tournament. Shout out Dan Hurley, man, the coach for UConn.
Love that guy.
Yeah. He's a
Holy
character.
crap, man. This guy has revitalized this program like I was mentioning earlier. And the schemes that he runs on offense, I know we've talked about this. It's just pure, smooth basketball. Whatever he's been doing, along with his recruiting, obviously. He's just honestly checked every single box as a head coach, and they all seem to love him. So,
yeah,
we haven't shouted out the coach of the best team the past 2 years, so I had to give him some love there.
Yeah, like Hurley, this is a dude like he got a little tips in a way. His team's up 20 and he's still playing his guys and still yelling on the court because he wants them not to give up. He wants his team to crush the soul of the other team and practicing good habits. And right now, they do not give up leads. And that's something that a lot of really good college basketball teams struggle because these are kids, but they're playing like professionals right now. And the execution, like I said, the Denver Nuggets of the college basketball game, their execution, they might not be the most talented, but my God, that execution, they have a lot of senior guys on the team too. So a lot of experience. Just man, these Huskies, man, this was one of the easiest picks for a national champion I had in a while. It was a lock of the tournament. My goodness, UConn Huskies, man. I'm excited. They won me some money. They won me some money. I would need them now. They got to close the deal. They got to close the deal now because if they lose either the championship game or the game before the championship game, kind of a choke job. Because in this tournament, they have been by far the best team in the tournament. By far. It's not even a discussion. Because, Purdue struggled with some
their odds? Dude, their odds
they have
minus 195. I'm looking right now.
Minus odds versus the field. And I think that is fair. Fair.
I'd say it's fair. I would say I'd probably put him more in like the maybe around like plus 100 or my like.
No, I wish I could get plus 100. I would be smashing more plus 100, man. But
the only reason I think is because Duke didn't beat NC State. I think just because Duke being a bigger name probably would have
shifted a little bit.
It would have shifted the odds for sure because NC State's just there. They're kind of like Syracuse.
Because NC State and Alabama are plus 1,600 on this one. I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So to be fair, if you want to just take a long shot, and to your point, Zoo, if UConn does lose this game, the only thing I'm nervous about with this team is if it is a close game, can they close it? Because they haven't had to do that yet. So that's where Bama has actually been great in this tournament.
The last 2 games
against teams that are better than them. Right. So, it's a good thing. If you want to throw $5 on plus 1,600, it might not be a bad idea because I think Bama would work Purdue. They're too fast, and I think they would dominate NC State. So I think the winner would come out of that game.
UConn and Alabama.
The UConn.
Interesting. Yep. So you'll take Bama over Zach Edey.
Edey's too slow for that Bama team, and they just run up and down the floor. They'd tire him out.
Well, I kind of am similar in thinking. Like,
if I'm placing a bet, it would be on UConn. But I am interested to see the Edey Burns matchup because even though Burns is 7'4", and I guess you could say he's somewhat of a defensive force. When I watched because like you said, down here in the Carolinas, like I kind of hinted to it last week about how Duke and UNC are the premier programs, and NC State's kind of like the little brother trying to get some attention, and nobody pays attention to him. Even though Raleigh is one of the more underrated cities in North Carolina, like I love that city, but it's funny just looking at like that whole build up going into that NC State Duke game, because I really didn't know how the game was going to go. I just thought, I assumed even the week before when we were talking about this, like if UNC and Duke got to the Elite Eight, like they're going to the Final Four. But I mean, UNC didn't make it and Duke got there. But, my caveat, GR free card, like Duke and UNC wasn't there. It was just Duke. So now it's just like, hey, we'll take an ACC team. And NC State came out, punched Duke in the mouth. And one thing that was interesting about that entire game was DJ Burns going against Kyle Filipowski, I think that's his last name. He worked the hell out of him. Like, he made him look like he had never defended a post defender in his life. Like, DJ Burns was like shifting his weight, was making teardrops in the lane, like making crazy passes out of double teams. Like, he was going to work. And it makes me wonder, like, with NC State, that is so interesting, like, especially with the matchup with Purdue. They've been playing we have to win this game or our season is over for like a month now. They like in the ACC, like they had, I think going into the tournament, they would come off a 4 or 5 game losing streak. Like, they was not on good terms. Like, the coach was about to get fired. If he would have maybe won 2 games in the tournament, he would have got fired.
Yeah.
So like they blitzed through the ACC tournament. They beat North Carolina and Duke. I'm pretty sure they beat North Carolina. I'm not sure they beat Duke, but they beat some quality teams in ACC. Then they come into it like, okay, we get the automatic berth, but it's just like, okay, everybody's looking at NC State is just a team that's like, okay, they're there. We're gonna see what they do. They may get through the first game, but they're gonna get beat in the second round. They handled Marquette. Like I think that was almost like even though the Duke win was crazy, that Marquette game, how they just handled that like wire to wire, like that was like, okay, this is kind of not just DJ Burns. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know all the guys that's on their team. I know Middlebrooks is
two DJs, man.
Like they got 2
DJ Horn,
I guess quality guard. They got two guys that are quality on the perimeter, and DJ Burns, of course. But the thing about it is, Edey, he got 40, and I respect. Like, I think he's a guy who could score at this level. But I'm just interested to see NC State's plan in terms of how they attack Edey. Like, I'm not sure they're going to give the ball to DJ Burns, and they're going to see if they can draw fouls. But I also think they're going to try to attack Purdue because to me, I think it's Edey or bust with Purdue. So to me, I don't know what type of game, especially with just how wide and how tall DJ Burns is. Like, I don't know if Edey's just going to be able to just overpower him and just dunk over him. Maybe he really rises to the occasion and does that, but I don't know how easy this is going to be for him to score. Maybe it is. Maybe DJ Burns is not the defender that we all think he is. Like, I don't think he's that crazy defender, but he held up against Filipowski, okay? And he scored like a MFR on Filipowski. So then I'm thinking, like, if, I think the only hope NC State has is if DJ Burns can get Edey in foul trouble. Because I'm under the impression if NC State wins that game, they're winning it. Because I think DJ Burns I think they're winning it. I think I cannot go against a team that has won 7 games in a row where it's do or die. Like, that tells me, say if UConn goes on a 15-0 run in the championship game, NC State's going to come back because they've been doing it their entire basketball, like their livelihood has been on the line. So like, now if it's 30-0 run, then it's over. Like, they're going to lose. Like, you can't come back from 30-0. But I will say, like, the universe and DJ Burns, that story, that just sounds too good to be true. And I know UConn is crazy, but to Pete Rich's point, me either. But I think if the game got close with UConn and NC State, like, I'll put my money on NC State. I would, because it's just like it would be destiny at that point.
Oh, let's take it easy now. Let's take it easy. Okay, I give you that. This path of that's like you mentioned, like they were on a set. No, they're currently on a 9-game winning streak. That had a path of Duke, Virginia, North Carolina. Like, that was that ACC tournament path. Like,
I thought it was
all tournament teams.
In that Virginia game, it took a guy missing a free throw.
Yeah, he came in like a bank shot.
Yeah, exactly. And they banked in a 3 to force OT. Legitimately, if
That's
that guy
sweet,
hits the
too.
if that guy hits the free throw, game over.
Game is over. They're not in the tournament.
Game
Coach is
over.
fired.
Coach fired. Everyone blowing up. Everyone moving on from their life.
Yeah.
But I give you that. This is a miracle stuff. But you know what happens with these miracles, man? Okay, they might make it because last year San Diego State made it to their national championship game, and I thought that was a miracle because I don't think anyone had San Diego State.
Yeah, they're always a
making
good team, but
yeah,
not like
they were a 5 seed. A 5 seed making.
NC State's
so.
an 11, Zoo.
Yeah, I give you
that's
that.
a big
That's
difference, Zoo.
Yeah,
Big difference.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is a real Cinderella.
Yeah. This is Loyola Chicago making it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And you know what happened? They lost in the Final Four game. That's what happened, man. And they got like God on their side, man. They were praying. They got Jesus on their side, man. Yeah. They got the Messiah on their side, and they still couldn't get it done. So all I gotta say is NC State. I'm rooting for them. I like DJ Burns. I want him to play against the UConn Huskies, and I want him to give them an actual game because, truth be told, these UConn games kind of boring in the second half because the game is over, and I'm like legit in the second half, and after the first half, and after 5 minutes, I just turn the game off. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch something else.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
okay, my spread pick hit. I'm gonna move on and do something else. So I hope you're right, and I hope they give them the game. But at the end of the day, Dan Hurley gonna be holding up another trophy, and he's gonna go down as one of the greatest college head coaches of all time. And this guy called it because if you don't remember, a couple of years ago, his team lost to Villanova in the NCAA March, and then he said, "Get us now, because we'll be back, and you won't be getting us in the future." So he called this shot. He believed it when nobody did.
Yeah.
And he got upset in the first round. And when you have a program like the UConn Huskies getting upset in the first round, that is unacceptable. But this guy's like, boom, we're going to learn from this, get some recruiting on, up his coaching, get better. And now look at this guy. This guy is on his way to being a back-to-back champion. And I think that's just like that. This is a dynasty. That it is a blue blood program. The Wolfpack versus the Huskies. I want it to happen. I want it to happen, but
you know, this reminds me of Zoo. It does give a little bit of mirroring of the Billy Donovan train, man. Winning those back-to-backs, and then he gets into the NBA. How much longer will he stay in college? I'm interested to see. Probably to see this, whatever maybe their most recent recruiting class. Maybe see them all the way through. But I am interested to see his jump because he has proven his team looks like an NBA caliber team. They would probably get wiped by any NBA team. Let's be honest.
Oh, obviously, I have people saying that Washington Wizards will lose. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah, I hate those.
The talent level is so big.
Yeah, it's so different. I mean, come on. Brian Scalabrine was a beast in college. All right, let's go. But it is interesting because his offensive scheme could for sure flow. Obviously, the NBA is a completely different game, so it may be harder to transition, unlike Billy Donovan did. But I don't know. Back-to-backs, man, they're rare.
It is rare.
Yeah. Super rare. I'm probably just rooting for DJ Burns because he's just a cool story. But I in closing, I will say it's hilarious that I think Zoo brought up the football point. Shannon Sharpe on I think one of the nightcap shows was talking about like he had legitimate guys in the NFL was like, yo, give me 2 to 3 weeks with DJ because they're saying like barefoot he's like 6'7", so he's like 6'7", whatever his weight is, and he has a crazy wingspan. They're like, yo, give me 2 to 3 weeks with him in the lab down in wherever their training facility is, and they can make him into like a late round pick, and he can end up making a lot of money in the NFL. So it's like I think those type of stories are funny and hilarious, but it's like you just got to be a different type of dude to play football. I don't think there's guys probably that's went from basketball to
Julius
football, but
Peppers.
Like you got to have. But I think Julius Peppers also had been playing football his entire life. Like I don't know if DJ played football at all. Like you can't like going into the NFL and never had really played real football. It's like. Unless you're from overseas and was playing rugby or something, and you was already used to physicality.
The lineman on the Eagles was like that. I forget his name, Moliata or something like that.
But like the left tackle. Yeah.
Who was the wide receiver on the Patriots that he only ever played? It wasn't Edelman. It was Amendola, one of their small white guys. Man, he never had played football before, and you're like.
I don't know how you.
I don't know.
It helps work. It helps playing with Tom Brady because then it just makes you that much better. But we'll see with the Final Four. But shifting into the NBA, it is winding down really, 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 really fast. I mean, April is here, and as usual, it's the Final Four, and then we're going to be jumping right into the playoffs soon. So I wanted to ask the guys and kind of get their thoughts and opinions on the play-in itself. Who are some teams that you could see once they escape the play-in make some actual noise in the playoffs? And Zoo, I'll go ahead and let you lead this off.
Playing, man. Adam Silver, thank you very much. Because without the play-in, these teams wouldn't make the playoffs. A lot of these teams would be completely written off. They might be resting their guys. Like if you look like a team like the Lakers, like they have a bunch of old dudes, and if there was no playing game, they might be resting their guys for next year already.
Mm-hmm.
They might be like the urgency it makes for the regular season. I love it. And I look at the East, man. I love my Bulls. No shot. I'm sorry. This team's an embarrassment. Just no shot. Like they might win one game because they play Atlanta Hawks, man. They play
not based on last night.
That is true. That is true. They might not even win a game this year in the play-in tournament. So the Bulls, obviously a joke. Atlanta Hawks, no Trae Young, but they're just kind of playing a little better without Trae Young, especially defensively. Weird story going with Atlanta. Okay, I know you're a Trae Young hater. But I'll still take him as my point guard. But Atlanta Hawks, 0 shot. You look at your favorite team, P. Diddy, the Miami Heat, man. The Miami Heat. I'm telling you like the Miami Heat real much, man. The Miami Heat.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, Miami Heat, that's all yours, man. That's all yours. I'm gonna pass on Miami, man. I look at the 76ers MB come back for injury.
Oh, yeah, he's coming back.
He's coming back. He's coming back, but I'm writing him off, man. Joel Embiid ain't no playoff performance, especially with an injury issue. He's going in. He's going in with a torn, like this is after a meniscus surgery, and you think these guys are going to do well in the playoffs? Stop it. So all these teams in the East, completely irrelevant to me, man. Yeah, like you said, my team's in the West End is the Phoenix Suns again, man. It's the Phoenix Suns. It's the Phoenix Suns because I am shocked that they're in the play-in tournament. Like
they won't be.
Like it is close.
I don't know.
They're a good
like,
Dallas is going crazy, and
Dallas.
Who else is
my
above them?
Sleeper team in the West. They look awesome. They look awesome.
Amazing,
dude. Luka Doncic, Jesus Christ, like he's probably second in MVP now after his stretch this year. After post All-Star break.
MVP.
I wouldn't even hate on that.
5 seed. If he could get to the 5 seed, I think.
Yeah, they're at the 5 seed currently. 2 games back of the two.
Not 5, but like a 4 maybe.
Yeah, 2 games back of the Clippers right now. So they're right there. Pelicans obviously been extremely strong. So it's gonna be 50-50 at the end of the year. But I think Phoenix, if they miss it, man, come on now. Sacramento Kings. I know you like the Sacramento Kings, but Kevin Huerter, he's out. Yep. He's out. Yep. He's out, man. Malik Monk, he's out. He's injured too. Shooters. So they lost 2 of their best shooters. 2 of their best, I would say, like those are like really nice complementary players for Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox as these guys cut around, shoot threes, and play off the ball. And without 2 of your shooters, they got no chance. I'm sorry. I love De'Aaron Fox. Sabonis has proven that he's like that Jokic light, the way they use him. Jokic light on that roster. So he might be their most valuable player. But without the shooters, I'm writing them off completely. So the Phoenix Suns, for me, they should whoop the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings and make it to the playoffs. And do you want to play Phoenix in the first round?
Not with all the melting.
It would be the Nuggets right now.
No, Nuggets are 2
right now. I don't know
right
if the
Nuggets.
They would play the Suns.
Yeah, that is true. Nuggets. Oh, yeah. The Nuggets.
They pushed them to 6, though, didn't they?
Yeah. That's the thing. If they stay at the 7th seed, right now it's still up in the air because you got the Thunder at the first place, half a game with the Nuggets, and Timberwolves are 1 game back. So that's like a 50-50 shot where anyone is.
No one knows.
So any of those 3 teams could play.
Go down to the last day.
So I'm gonna see right now Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Phoenix Suns.
No.
Who are you gonna
pick?
Phoenix.
Give me
Phoenix Suns, man. I like. And if Vegas wants to give me plus money, more power to you. Give me plus money every day of the week. I'm taking Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Yeah. Oh, I'm taking those 2 brothers, man. Yep. Even though in the regular season, like, not gonna lie, very underwhelming. Like, you're winning 58% of your games. I know Bradley Beal has been a Band-Aid, but you got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And Devin Booker is a special one-on-one basketball player, special scorer, and Kevin Durant is still Kevin Durant, even being 35 plus years old. Grayson Allen is shooting 50, 49.
Gotta get paid, bro.
Grayson Allen's going to get a bag, man. Like,
Milwaukee let go of the wrong guy.
Dude, seriously, he like him or Malik Beasley. I'm taking Grayson Allen, man, and he could defend too. He ain't like that normal dude on the like a normal guy, normal white guy on the other side of the court getting his ass cooked. But he's a legitimate defender.
Yeah,
like he tees up. He's very, very competitive, and he could shoot the basketball. So he's like the perfect role player. And I'm like, man, Oklahoma City Thunder, even at Minnesota Timberwolves.
That's a close series.
That's gonna be a good close series. But I'm taking the Suns. I'm picking the Suns, especially with Karl Anthony Towns injured.
True.
So we don't know his situation. And I love Ant-Man. Rudy Gobert probably gonna win defensive player.
It's hard for me to pick that one.
Rudy Gobert gonna win defensive player of the year. But you know what? I squint. Oh, it's the Utah Jazz again, man. It's Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert again. I squint and I see the same team. It's the same team. They got Mike Conley. Oh, Mike Conley. Oh, I think
Jalen McDaniels could make life a little difficult for one of those guys.
I give you that. He's probably going to be all NBA
and he can shoot
defensive player.
A little bit.
Yeah, he's an all NBA defender, wing player. But if I squint, that offense, not that impressive. And I know the Timberwolves defense is good, but when the pace slows down, defense is settled down. It's a little easier. It's a half-court game. If you're in a half-court game, give me KD and Devin Booker, because I saw those guys take the Denver Nuggets. They were the closest to knock out the Denver Nuggets last year, and they were playing straight-up hero ball. It was not coaching. It was just one-on-one shot making. If they could do that, they could beat the Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves. So for me,
you're skipping over a team though, Zoo.
Oh, who am I sleeping on?
The Nuggets. They might have to face the Nuggets in the first round.
If they play the Nuggets, I got my futures bet on them. They're gonna whoop their ass.
So here's my point, Zoo. I'll start with the West one because it's not the one I'm picking. But the Kings, depending on who they play, if they play the Timberwolves or the Thunder, they could win that series.
What's up, the role players?
I'm just saying, without Cat,
no.
The Timberwolves,
yeah. You're taking the Sacramento Kings without two role players on the fight.
They could give them a
fight, like 5 games.
Six games.
Fight? 6 games.
Yeah.
No, 5 games is not a fight.
5 games is not a fight.
If I had to pick between the Timberwolves or Thunder, who I think they could get, I think the Kings could get the Timberwolves more than the Thunder because the Thunder just got too much depth.
The Thunder have a lot of depth, but they don't have a lot of experience. So
Sacramento don't have much either, though. They made the playoffs last year.
7 with the Warriors last year.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the Thunder, though. They just have they're deep. Plus, too, I don't think the Kings could. Sabonis would have to go nuclear because they don't have anybody that could probably deal with it.
I just think the Suns, man, the Bradley Beal situation is just this. It's the same team with a hobbled Bradley Beal and no rim protection. I mean, they got what? Nurkic?
Yeah, Nurkic.
Nurkic. Dude, I'm sorry, but Rudy Gobert might average like 18 to 20 against them. Which is sad.
He might.
That's sad.
Just on lobs,
What would Chet do to him? I mean, the Suns, man, I've told you this since the beginning of the damn season, man.
Yeah, you did say that.
Big 3. It's going to be great, fun to watch. Sure, they can go one-on-one all the time, man. They're going to get exhausted. It's exactly what happened to Kevin Durant on the Nets, man. Exact same situation. Devin Booker, he's a younger version.
Yep.
Harden, but
if they flame out, to your point about the big 3, we need to start having some conversations about Kevin Durant.
I'm telling you, man. So, and I love KD. I think he's one of
me too. But
he's the most pure scorer I've seen. Him and Carmelo Anthony are the 2 best scorers I've had the privilege of watching all around game. Steph Curry from 3, obviously LeBron. Drive /
he better be glad he got. I don't want to. I'm not going to say this, but it's going to go to a whole different argument.
I gotta agree with you.
He might be mellow if he didn't have Steph Curry. Because he's only won those 2 with Steph, and I know he was the MVP. But I mean, if you put if you put prime Melo with that Golden State team, you don't think Melo would have been the MVPs of those teams?
No, because he's more vocal.
I think Melo at least got one MVP, NBA Finals MVP.
Kevin Durant's petty, but he's not like Melo level of ego. I don't know.
Melo
look,
does have a big ego.
whatever.
He got jealous of my
That's
boy
why-
Jeremy Lin, so that's all I gotta say
Yeah.
about that.
He did.
Like if you beef with Jeremy
did.
Lin, do you think you're going to get along with one of the nicest guys in the league and Steph Curry? Like I don't know. Like Jeremy Lin's
Yeah,
probably one of the
I bet
nicest
that.
dudes in the league. So
Yeah,
whatever.
that
But
was a tough look for Melo.
the reason I didn't pick the West is I just think it's so jumbled and so many things can happen that I can't the Suns could take the 6th seed, and it's possible they're not even in the play-in. And we're talking about the Pelicans being in there. Well, the Pelicans could be an interesting play-in team, having to face up against a Thunder or a King or a T-Wolves team. I love how we're all avoiding the Nuggets discussion.
No, yeah,
I think everyone is. Yeah, everybody's
and I
trying.
think that's the
that's
other
confusing.
thing. And that's the other thing, right? So I look over on the East side. Man, Sean, you were talking about the Magic, man. I didn't realize they were all the way up to 5 at this point. So Jesus Christ, I was like, I might ride the Magic if they're sitting at 7. But no.
I wonder what their future is. What their futures is.
And then you look and you got the let's see who's the 7th seed in the East. Oh yeah, it's the Heat and then the Sixers.
Yeah,
but the Pacers are only a game ahead of the Heat right now, right?
Yeah,
so that could also be
still up in there.
But Zoo, I'll approach it like you did and say here, as of today, the Heat are the 7th seed, man. And let's say they lock it in, they beat the Sixers. I think they do. Jimmy Butler loves to play against teams he formerly played for, especially ones that treated him badly, and Tobias over me. But you're talking about a rematch of the first round last year, Zoo.
Oh,
Bucks and Heat. Doc
No
Rivers
way.
Bucks against and with a better version of Bam Adebayo, right? He's been having a much better season this year. He's been able to play more consistently. Obviously, the Tyler Hero. We got, they don't have all the G leaguers, but I think that is big because they don't have to share the ball as much. Maybe that was what got them there last year, was because you didn't know who to guard on any given night. But man, this Miami Heat team, we know who Jimmy Butler is in the playoffs. Yeah. I think he gives the Bucks a run for their money if that ends up being the 2-7 matchup. And then you're talking about him facing off with a 3 seed in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Come on, man. It's over. So then you're talking about another rematch. And you better believe that Celtics team does not want to see Miami. That is pretty much the same.
This is why I kind of disagree. I do think the Celtics, because of how they got embarrassed last year, they kind of want that.
Well, let me ask you.
They just don't want them in the conference finals. They want to maybe see them before that.
Who are they nervous about in the East?
The Celtics?
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to pick a team, it'd be the Heat.
Right.
But I mean, I think they still want to see them, though.
Yeah. They want the revenge game. Caitlin Clark against LSU, man. Same stuff. Yeah. But it's a team that you got. Obviously, they got Porzingis now, and it is a different team, quote unquote.
Yep, Drew Holiday
too. But man, that Miami Heat, man, they just somehow they're a playoff team. They just are. They really are. They kind of remind me of, you know what? They never got to the top with Jimmy Butler, but they give very much Eli Manning Giants, man. They just somehow turn it on as a wild card team in the playoffs. So that's a team I'm always willing to watch. You guys know I've been on the Heat huge for years now. They're fun to watch. Jimmy Butler just, man, he just goes off for those 45-point games where he's jacking up fadeaway threes, man, and they just start going in. So I don't know what it is. Maybe he sold his soul and now he only plays well in playoffs. Who knows? But
seriously, regular season, not even an all-star anymore.
My point is, man, the Suns, you can talk about them all you want. I just get real big fluke energy from them once in a while. Just with the injuries, I know they got great players. The Miami Heat, I just trust their consistency a little bit more, and they've been playing a lot better in the second half of the season. So
and their coach.
Their coach
is one of the best in the league.
Exactly.
So, any series in the East, I'm picking Spo. I don't care who he's going against. Right. There's no other coach I'm going to be like, Doc Rivers. He can maybe match Spo.
Jesus.
Like maybe Nurse. Nurse is a good coach, but it's like, he'd probably be second. But, and then I guess
not gonna lie. I thought that against Doc Rivers, and I could just see Doc Rivers blowing the game in the first round against this.
And then it all goes.
And then he has all these excuses about how he didn't have enough time for the chemistry to mesh. Dame Lillard missed some games. Giannis got a little nicked up, and I'm like, God, that would be so good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have faith in Doc because I just, and it's more so about Dame and Giannis. I think Dame, to your point about Jimmy Butler show up in the playoffs, I think Dame is, now that he's going to actually be in the playoffs.
He hasn't been there in a while.
I think he hadn't been here in a while, but I think him having I think he just needed a guy like Giannis. I think Dame is going to have a really good playoffs because
I'm not blaming him for
if we're talking about close games, that's why I still I picked Milwaukee beginning. I still kind of like them, even though Doc is the coach, because I think Dame is going to show out in the playoffs. And you mean to tell me if they do get matched up with the Celtics, like dude, I'm picking Dame. Because as much as with the Celtics that like we were talking about how the Heat is just their bugaboo. Like I do not understand how they're still having this tug of war of like who does what in the fourth quarter of like who's going to take shots. And like Tatum's taking all the shots, but like stats are backing up that Jaylen Brown should be taking the shots. And guess what? That's still not going to happen because Tatum's the star. So it's like if Jaylen Brown is a better clutch player and should be taking those shots, but everybody on the team knows it's Tatum as a star, how can I trust that in the playoffs? Because guess what? When Tatum, if they're doing all that hooky jerky, one guy take a shot, the other guy take a shot, they're gonna Dame or Giannis gonna get the rebound, and Dame's gonna come down and hit a 45-footer, and because we know Dame can make those shots, that's who's gonna be taking their clutch shots.
You gonna die on this Bucks hill like you are with Deshaun Watson, man? Is that what you're holding that ground?
Well, the Bucks hill is not as bad as the Deshaun hill right now. I can't say that.
Hills, man. Let's not compare those hills.
Okay.
I could be if you want to destroy for the Deshaun hill, I could. Listen, it's hard to have any ammo right now, especially with them signing like Jameis. Because the fact that they signed Jameis is actually hilarious because it's just like a former number 1 pick. Because I feel like Cleveland loves their backups more than they actually like Deshaun right now. But this is not a football podcast. Talking about the play-in, with the Western Conference, I was looking at just the play-in teams, and I see like the Kings are there now. But to Zoo's point about their injuries, I am interested to see where they end up falling. Because kind of like with Houston, even though they're not a play-in team, like seeing that they're only however many games behind Golden State and that they have a matchup coming up soon, I was like, I wonder if they could make it interesting towards the end of the season. But for me, man, this is kind of an easy answer because of what I saw last year, and that's with the Lakers. Like, I think if the Kings drop and the Lakers get to 7-8, I think it's a possibility they could beat the Suns because they've beaten them a couple of times this year. Now, full disclosure, I'm pretty sure the Lakers, depending on how far the Kings drop, and they're looking at their playing matchup, they're going to be trying to figure out, like, should we win? And then our consolation prize is the Denver Nuggets, who right now are at 2. Like, or it's like, could we figure out and try to like see? It's all of it's going to be trying to see where Denver ends up. And I know it's the Lakers is the biggest brand, so it's like everybody's looking at the Lakers like they can't beat Denver, but nobody can beat Denver. Like, it's just when Denver's locked in, they're a problem for everybody. So to me, it's like I look at the Lakers, and what's interesting about them is, last year they made their run, but I was writing down some notes. Like, they have had some really good, like, really, really impressive wins without LeBron and AD. Like, people forget about that Boston win when they didn't have LeBron or AD, and they went to Boston and kind of pretty much smacked them around. I know people were saying, well, Boston went focused, but it's like, they still did that with their roster. And I don't know if that was post-trade deadline or before the trade deadline, but every year it's like with LeBron, he's like, who can they get at the trade deadline? But it's like, I was banging on the table, like, they don't need anybody. They got really good players. So then it's like that gets proven again when they're on that Thursday night game against Giannis. And it's like Giannis and Dame without LeBron. And you see Reeves out there running pick and roll. You see D'Angelo Russell making mid-range shots. You see Rui being aggressive, driving down the lane. Like, they're all like their team is built for the playoffs. And I think part of the reason why, like, and I hate the cop out with really just fans of like teams who are fans, like major fans of like a particular team. They're just like, the coach sucks. It's like, that's just an easy default to say. Do you know what the coach is actually doing, or do you just saying that because everybody's saying that? Like, everybody's saying the coach sucks. So to me, it's like, I'm not saying Darvin Ham is a top end coach because I don't think he's a top end coach, but I think his tinkering with the lineups was a little weird because, the lineup that got them to the Western Conference Finals, they hadn't really been playing that much this year, and they kind of got back to it post All-Star break, and they had to do it because Vando got hurt. But like looking at just their skill outside of LeBron and AD, of course, like Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, like as a backcourt, they are big shot makers, and that matters in the playoffs. Like Reeves hitting that shot against the Milwaukee Bucks, like massive. D'Angelo Russell hitting that shot against Golden State on the run. Like, I don't care who you are. You coming down at Golden State, you coming down and LeBron's on the court and you're like, no, I'm taking this pull-up 3 and I'm hitting it in overtime with Steph Curry also on the floor. Like, that takes, like, PG show, but that takes balls. Like, to me, they have 2 guys in the backcourt with LeBron and AD. Like, Reeves is more, I feel like, of a better decision maker as a, hey, if I'm LeBron, I'm gonna give the ball to one of my backcourt mates. I'm gonna give it to Reeves. I feel like he's not gonna make a turnover and make a good play. I mean, now if Russell has made 4 in a row, I'm gonna throw it to Russell because he's probably gonna make 5. But I just think their ability to make shots is what's super important. I don't know what they're really gonna get from Gabe Vincent. He's coming back from injury, but if he could kind of get half of what he gets from Miami, and he's making like clutch shots in the play if they get to the real playoffs, that'll be a plus. Vando, I don't think Vando's probably going to come back until they make the actual playoffs. I don't think he's going to come back for like a play-in game. But I just like their depth and they're a big team. This is what like matters in the playoffs. I've always made this point. We get upset with a bunch of guys who are guards who make shots during the regular season. The league is built on being a bigger team. This is just the science of the NBA. And if you got guys like this is how I always think of it. Like if you have two guys, 1'6'3" and 1'6'7", and the 6'3" guys maybe 2 percentage points better as a 3-point shooter, I'm still taking the 6'7" guy because if he's only shooting 2% less, guess what? He's a bigger guy who's going to get a shot off more and get a cleaner look. Like that's what the Lakers are. They don't have small guys, and that's why to me, my larger point with the West is like. And I know I was just making the case for the Lakers. And that's just more so because of I trust LeBron and AD if they get to the playoffs. Because people get confused about like, well, the Lakers are like the Golden State too. They fall into this, even though I think they're a little bit more of a mess. They talk about like, well, you had winning the games in the regular season, so like you're in the play-in like you suck. It's like, no, if they do get into the playoffs, you got to plan to beat LeBron and AD 4 out of 7 times. That's hard as hell to do. Same thing with Steph. If you get into a series, you got to beat them 4 out of 7 times. You're not just catching them on a night where they're in New York and they probably went out the night before and you beat them and now you're thinking you're a better team. It's like, no, they probably just went out the night before. That's why you beat them. Like they're just not focused and they're an older team too. But this is a bigger point for me. And I was making a point about the Lakers, but it's a bigger point about the West. I honest to God think Denver, they're the tier above. Everybody else can either be beat or beat the team they're playing. 2 through 9, and I kind of want to exclude Golden State, but it's like I still just don't want to count out Steph Curry, but I'm going to exclude them. 2 through 9, anybody can be beat. I don't care how it falls. No result is going to shock me. None. Yeah. That's how deep I think the West is. Like I don't think any, and even you go into the later rounds, like say whoever wins that first round matchup, and you go into the semis, whatever that matchup jumbles up, end up being, like none of it's going to be shocking. Now, if Denver gets beat by like. I mean, it's like I know that they have like, say for instance, they get matched up with the Suns or the Lakers. It would kind of be shocking more so if the Lakers beat them because they just have the Lakers number.
Yeah.
But it's like if the Suns or the Lakers, it's game 5 and they're up, whatever the series number is, and they're up in the fourth quarter. And it's like if they win this game, they'll take a commanding lead. It wouldn't be super shocking because it's like, dude, you're going against LeBron or AD, or you're going against Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. That's just like the amount of depth in the West is so insane ridiculous to me. It's like I would not be shocked by any of it. I wouldn't be shocked by any of it. So that's why I picked the Lakers because it's like just because of the play-ins, like the Kings, they're hurt. To your point, Bradley Beal. If Bradley Beal was more healthy, I would be way more interested in the Suns because to your point, man, in a series, having a game plan for 3 like premium scores, and then all of a sudden you figure those guys out, and then you got Grayson Allen making corner threes or making plays off the dribble. Like that is a hit. That's like that would be a headache
in a perfect world.
Head coach.
And on the double team.
Perfect world. So it's like to me, man. I look at in those slots, Golden State is still there. I still think, and this is just a Steph thing. This is just Steph. It has nothing to do with the rest of their team. Like I still think if Steph gets in a series and he's in a series with, let's just say of course not Denver, but like OKC. If he gets in a series with OKC, I mean, I would pick OKC because of their depth, but I'd be nervous as hell because it's like Steph could definitely go on the road and win 2 games. So then it's like, and then it's like now the pressure's on you. Like OKC would have to go up 2-0 in that type of series. So, in the East, I'm not really, I think it's a little bit more of a clear cut. I'm still thinking the best 2 teams are Milwaukee and Boston, even though Boston didn't have, I feel like, a closer. And I know the Heat, but at some point, somebody made a point. I don't know what show I was watching, but they were talking about like Heat culture is definitely a thing, but it's like we kind of got to start seeing Jimmy Butler and like the Miami Heat be better within the regular season because it's like they're not like a super old team. Like it's not like the Lakers and Steph Curry where their best play. Like Jimmy Butler is an older player, but it's like they should not be just dogging it throughout. Like you need to be better throughout, especially in the East. Like they should be a top 4 seed. They should not be like in the play-in trying to have to play for their lives. Like they shouldn't be doing that.
I think they will snag the 6th seed and play the Cavs in the first round. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're
And the
only a
Cavs,
game
like you
back.
said,
Knock
I
out
don't
the
think the Heat-
Pacers, son. Knock out the Pacers, huh?
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah,
would-
it's just
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I feel like that just makes more sense. Like they always make the push in the last 15 games of the season. You know, they kind of get.
But they should not be doing that. Their team is not like
Yeah.
decrepit and old. They should be way better. Like the Lakers and like I said, the Golden State Warriors. I kind of get it because they're stars. They're just coasting through the season.
But if you can rest your
Like, they're
stars and
old.
still finish, I mean, there's
And that's the thing about the Lakers. To your point about the rest of
Exactly.
their stars, they have rested their stars and it smacked some of the better teams around in the league.
Yeah.
Like that Boston game is still puzzling to me. Like how the hell did Austin Reeves, D'Lo, Vando go in there and beat Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Is like what? Like that shit. I don't care if you're saying, well, we just had an off. Like, no, that should never happen ever. Their two
Yeah.
biggest stars didn't play. You are in your prime. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are in your prime. You should not be losing to like Austin Reeves and you're not sleepwalking that. And it's a rivalry. Like what? So
Yeah.
that's why I was always like, dude, stop. I don't want to hear about the Lakers need to make trades. Like, no, they have a really good team.
They do.
A
They
really
love
good
the
team. And they have
They love
guys who
that.
are, I think the difference is too, and this is the last point, they have guys who are not scared when LeBron's on the court to make play. Like Reeves go out there is like, no, I'm not looking at LeBron. I'm gonna try to make a play for me and whoever else, a two-man game with me and Rui. Or like D'Angelo was like, okay, even though I missed maybe the last two, like I'm gonna come up and jack it up and make a shot. Like and defensively they both are not good. But it's like to me, the defensively thing is when I think about the playoffs, I think about can you just make a couple of stops throughout like in crunch time? Like I don't need you to be a two-way guy where you're going crazy and guarding both sides of the ball for like the entire game. I just need you to make smart defensive plays when it's crunch time, like how LeBron does. LeBron does now. Like he doesn't guard it all during the season. Then it's like during the playoffs, a game 6, he ratchets it up for like 3 minutes, and then he like it plays however many minutes he just goes and does whatever. And like you said, and if you do get beat, you got AD back there who can clean it up. So
yeah.
I don't know, but we'll see. Like I said, the NBA, I know right now we talking about the playing teams, but trust and believe next week when we come in, these teams are going to be jumbled up and in way different positions. They're going to be in way different positions, and the matchups are going to be really intense. I'm really excited about the Western Conference to see how that shakes out. But make sure you guys watch the Final Four this weekend, men's and women's. Make sure you guys are tuned into our NBA content as well, because that will be kind of the main focus going forward, along with the NFL draft, because it is officially April. So it's going to be some trades. Talk about trading up. It's going to be a lot of teams, I feel like, trading up to get some quarterbacks in the NFL draft. We're going to be discussing some of those scenarios coming up. So make sure you follow us at Tyson Talks _ on Pick and Dobbs, page, which is on Instagram. Make sure you follow us at Quantrill Knows on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the mediums in terms of how you can listen to us and watch us. And for me, Sue, and P. Bush, we are out.